Okay, we are back. Last night, the camera that I do not have backup batteries for, the battery died, so that it ended my filming early. So we are back tonight with turn 7 and a quick recap of what went on in the first 6 turns. The U.S. lost a total of, let me count here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 planes. And Japan lost 2 planes and a cruiser, along with taking 2 hits on the Akagi carrier. The U.S. also lost the air base at Midway, which is knocked out, but still can manage 1 air operations per turn, or per token. The planes here with the out of fuel markers just landed, so they are out of action for this turn, which doesn't hurt the U.S. having all these fighters down because there are no Japanese bombers in the air. There are quite a few that have to land this turn on this carrier group here. So let's get started with the turn, and probably I will most likely edit quite a bit out so this isn't so long, so you may not quite see every single action. I'm still going to film every single action, but I'll probably pull out a bunch of stuff. So checking for victory conditions, 1 point apiece, 1 point for Midway being destroyed for Japan, and then the cruiser that the U.S. sank is 1 point. Command, they're on maneuver phase, 2 recovery and 2 maneuver, and they're going to move too because they're with those transports. So let's go on to phase 2 on the map. Last night, after the battery died in this camera that's focused on the map here, I noticed what it looked like when I was putting that on the card is that when I'm holding this dice tray, it's too close to the lens and out of focus. So I'm hoping that's not too bad of a case, so I'll have to remember to keep it on the table when I roll for that plane searching, or the patrol aircraft and their searches and whatnot. So let's get on with that. Japan has this patrol aircraft, which is going to go into 7. That would be the movement. You know what I forgot to do? I got out of order here. We were supposed to land aircraft, the very last thing of phase 1, because I see that these U.S. bombers here are out of fuel, so they will land. They have to land at Midway on that air base, which is okay to land on, but they can only launch 2, or no, 1 per turn now. Which is fine because I think we're going to use those bombers as patrol aircraft to kind of help U.S. He's going to stay in shadow. There are 2 patrol aircraft on the sea base, or seaplane base, you can see right here on Midway. So they are launching from there. We're going to bring 1, 2, and we're going to send the other one down south here. The one that's here is going to come up to 14. Whoops, so I flipped it over. Should just use my hands, I guess. So that's where the search planes are for the U.S. They're shadowing this cruiser group, and we have this Japan plane shadowing that carrier group for the U.S. So let's roll that Japan one first, which when they're shadowing they have 3 dice to the U.S. 1, and it's a 6 to an 11, so it continues to shadow. Alright, so the same thing for the U.S. patrol plane with these cruisers, and oh no, 12. So it's a good thing. Well, so he loses contact, so now there are no Japanese ships that are spotted. So even if I had set these carriers here on the carrier ops phase to launch, I could still not launch the planes and just stand down. But what I can't do if I had them set to launch is move them. So I'm glad I had set to move them closer to Midway. Alright, so we're done with the search operations. Time to draw some tokens. And remember that US is down 1. So Japan, obviously we want to move, and is that on the, it is on the map. We're going to skirt along the bottom here into C zone 34 with our transports and that carrier division, because we need to get to Midway and land those, take over the island, because then that ends the air base and the seaplane base, and that is probably game at that point. Next one is, oh, Japan again. Alright, so we're going to slide this group north 1, because I think what I want to do is combine some of these cruisers with these battleships to make a better attack group for when we get to those US ships. And oh, see, now that US did not get the move at all. So now we are done with the execute orders phase, and quite frankly there's no combat. Alright, back on the carrier operations boards here, and looking for my sheet so that I go in order. Rearm the bombers and refuel. So now these guys have refueled, and these fighters have refueled, and I'm looking to see, I know these guys didn't get the launch last turn, but what I did forget, and I said it at the beginning of the turn, was I forgot to land the planes. So I landed those US planes, these bombers here, and then these Japanese planes would have to land on these two carriers. And I also forgot to remove their bombs when they did their attack. Alright, so we got a lot of procedural errors here. Turn 7 was kind of a disaster for the US on the map, not getting to use any command tokens to do anything meaningful. Alright, turn 8 begins. Torpedo bomber. Now it has its torpedo because it launched and for 3 turns was unable to attack anything, so it had to return. So it'll get to return, but it'll be out of fuel, so it'll have to refuel instead of rearm. And that was the only planes to land. Oh, there's an out of fuel seaplane, so it landed as well. So I guess at the end of the turn we would have refueled these bombers. So technically a bomber could launch from Midway. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put it on Midway Island so that I remember to maybe launch it as a patrol aircraft. So I will put a recon marker under it, which basically states that it's going to be a recon plane and not an attack plane. Let's move to the map for the search operations. Conduct search operations. Launch planes. Japan has nothing to launch. They do have 2 here. I forgot to get a recon marker for that B-17. So let me come over here and get that done. While I'm over here, we'll launch them. 1, 2. We're going to put both of them there. They're there. Oh, they would not be hidden anymore. They were spotted. Not shadowed yet. Alright, so that's it for your launching. Now we've got the search rolls. So we're going to start with Japan. They are shadowing in, they're going to attempt to shadow in 6 and maintain shadow in 17. So for C zone 6, they fail. Now they're coming home. Alright, so in C zone 17, 2 12s. Alright, well they're good there. let's move on to the US, which I think, no, those two moved there. This guy didn't move. Let me see where he can go. 1, 2. So he can't reach anybody this turn. All right, so nothing happens there. Put that back there. Oddly enough, the storm is only in C-Zone 3. Usually by now it's spread almost across the top of the map. All right, so the US to shadow down here is 3 dice. 11, they fail, so unbelievable. They need all these recon planes or patrol aircraft. That one is failed again. All right, so here they're going to attempt to shadow. Oh my gosh, they failed as well. They are hidden again. And another out of fuel here for that guy. Forgot to do that one. All right, that was it. So there is no combat this turn either. I think they'll still do it, but we just won't make any attacks. All right, so we're going to draw command tokens. First up is Storm. I don't really know which side to go, so I'll roll a dice. High was there, low is there. So low, we'll put the Storm there. That's not how you do it. The person chooses. But since I'm playing myself, it's not fair. All right, Japan. Obviously, we're going to skirt here. So now we are 2 away from invading Midway. So it's still, yeah, right down here. It's barely on the camera, but I can't get back any further without making it look silly. And it may look silly as it is. All right. Oh, for crying out loud. That was it. So, no launching of planes. No moving of any other units either. So Japan, well, fortunately for US, they're not able to combine these 2 fleets, and they're maintaining their position and getting to Midway, but these carriers are pretty much out of the battle so far. These guys come back to the Hornets because they can move 3. And that one goes back to Midway, that one goes back to Midway. And Midway is close to getting invaded, which will eliminate the search planes. US really needs to get some command tokens here. Alright, so that is the end of that. Burn fuel, but nothing's in the air. Let's head on back over to the carrier operations. Okay, so for the patrol or search operations as phase 2, we're going to try and recon those guys. We're going to recon these guys. We're going to come down here and recon that group, but we're also going to send this guy down here because we got to make sure that we catch that group. Is basically going to maintain shadowing there, which hasn't mattered so far. They got a 10. Oh, US got a 10, so they failed. So now Japan has no ships spotted. Alright, so up north here we're going to try and spot those ships. And they do. So they are no longer hidden. Here in the middle, in C-Zone 21, they fail. Japan rolled an 11 and beat the US dice. So down south, we've got the B-17 doing its job, and it does. So they are no longer hidden. The PBY does its job, so they are both on there. That's going to help me maintain contact. I say that. If Japan gets a token, those transports and destroyers are going to move. They will not be, they will be hidden again. Alright, well that's how it goes. So, let's get on to the tokens. Japan needs a token desperately. And they get it. So that means, and I'm going to leave this carrier, well, it's carrier division. Let me just get a new task force down here. And there are now 8 transports and 4 destroyers. And they are hidden because they moved before they could be shadowed by those 2 search aircraft. Alright, next token. We're going to do all that. Japan token goes there. Alright, next token is US. So, what can they do? They've got to launch. Let's launch the ones that has the best planes, which would be the 5 dive bombers from the Yorktown. And they can come 1, 2, 3. Oh, I just spit them all over the board. I'll have to correct that here in a second. They have a movement of 3. Alright, so that was that chip. Mainly because I can't reach that side of the table here. Oh, for crying out loud. But that's how it goes. I mean, you don't know how long your turns are, or what operations you can get in. Alright, I'm going to stand on this side of the board this time because this is where all the action is going to happen. First part of phase 2 of the conducting search operations is launching. So Japan has this one on the cruiser, comes out. 2. I think the US has 2 that are here. We're going to send one there. We're going to assume these 2 are going to be successful. So we're going to send that one there as well. And now we're going to roll to maintain searching. And we're going to attempt to shadow this group here. And they do. Before I do that, I forgot, it does the US no good to spot this carrier while it is I think 2 victory, I think it might be 1 victory point because it's a light carrier. There's a possible 4 victory points here in this stack. So we're going to fly over to this one. So we're not going to shadow this one, but we're going to align that one. Not realign, but try to re-spot the destroyers and transports. And the first one is successful, the B-17, the PBY. Yep, they're successful too. Alright, so they are no longer hidden and now subject to attack. Alright, so the token pull here now is more important than ever for the US. So let's take, of course, so what Japan does is they're moving into the island here to invade. Alright, and the next one up is, oh my gosh, Japan again. Well, we're going to launch our 2 fighters from this carrier to protect the sea zone here from these planes here, and then possibly whatever can launch from here. Oh, 2 carriers can launch right into that, so that's going to be an issue for Japan there. I'll put a fuel marker on there, but if there's combat, then it doesn't matter. You'll have to land. Alright, so, oh my gosh. That's it for the US. Because there is nothing they can do now. Alright, so here's your combat turn here, combat sequence. First up is invade islands. So there is 8 transports. That means 8 transports have now invaded Midway Island. We'll put that over here because they are done, because what you do, you give them their 4 victory points. And that puts them up to 5 to 2. And that is not looking good. Now, I was looking in the book because once these islands are invaded, it seems to me like the air base, the seaplane base go away. But I didn't see that where it was talking about invading the island. It didn't really have a section, I didn't think, for invading the island. It just talks about the victory points, and then, you know, your transport's unloading and then they were removed from the board. You get those victory points. So I don't know what to say about that. After I turn the camera off, I'm going to look again and see if I can see anything about the effect of the air base and seaplane base. So, return aircraft, and none failed, so nothing returns. Burn fuel, this guy goes to a 1. So honestly, this carrier might be in danger of being attacked now, as the other transports are still way over on this side. Alright, let's go to the aircraft carrier boards.